Start the recording. So due today are your Starfield assignment, your encapsulation worksheet, your mixed practice 1 from Coding That. If you need anything regraded, please send me an email so I can look over your resubmitted assignment and grade it. You can get full credit after for regrading. Me and Mr. Simon have that same policy. You should know that grades are formally due in Synergy on the 12th, so you best get in your request for regrades before then. Next week, Wednesday, there's no school. Block 1, are we meeting asynchronously or synchronously on Monday? Can you post in the chat? This coming Monday, are we meeting asynchronously or synchronously? Yeah, be careful. Good. The things are zooming in. So synchronously, because the Wednesday schedule has been moved to Monday, I will be seeing you live on Monday. Right, with the first class of the day, block 1. So see you on Monday live, 9 a.m. for some, I think we begin asteroids. And we get to see more examples of encapsulation. We get to see more examples of extends, this idea of inheritance. All right. So I hope you noticed the spike in difficulty when we were working on mixed practice 1. Yeah, they're much harder than the previous ones. Or if you didn't feel like it spiked up that much, then you're in a good spot. You really understand arrays, you really understand indices, and everything we've been learning so far. So there were 2 problems that were requested to review from the mixed practice 1. And after I review those 2 problems, if there's no more requests from mixed practice 1, we'll go on to talk about your Starfield code. And for that portion of class, I'm looking for volunteers to show us their code, perhaps share their screen, or some live debugging. And it emulates what happens during office hours. If you need to meet with me to get your code finished, or just need some help getting started, please email me. I'm free for office hours today after school, every weekday after school. I'll even give you some time during Veterans Day too if you want that last minute push to get things done. Sound good? If you know people in Mr. Simon's class, they can also ask for help from me, and you can ask for help from him. I tend to occupy the evening hours. Mr. Simon occupies the very early morning hours. He wakes up at like 4 or 5 a.m. every single day. I don't know how he does it. Some of us are like going to sleep at that time. Okay. Do we need to use encapsulation in our Starfield program? No. Encapsulation will be used in your asteroids program. That will be your next big coding assignment. In the Starfield project, you just need to use extends. So that's already given to you in the skeleton code, the code that was given. So let me find that slide where it is. So way back here, right? So this part, it's the oddball that is the key component of the Starfield assignment. Because I think like class oddball particle extends particle, that was given to you, and your job is to really fill in this stuff. So this is the new stuff, quote unquote. Everything else before this, a regular particle class, is just remaking your chemotaxis assignment but calling that object a particle instead. So like if you haven't started just yet, which I predict is some of you, you should be making, like building on top of your chemotaxis code. Instead of having it randomly wiggle, you should be making it go from start in the center, move outwards in that circular path, right? The sine and cosine math. Good. You will do plenty of encapsulation in your asteroids program. That's where that concept really shines. Let's see. And if you need more help getting started, really look over these first 40 slides in like this slide does so much work for you already. Right here, class particle, you have your member variables. Your goal is just to fill in the constructor, move, and show. Right? And with here's another question. Did we need to move it exactly like that, or was there creative freedom? Every assignment has a high degree of creative freedom. You see the requirements from the assignment are you have an array of objects, you have one that is extended from the other, one that is very similar but not the same as the others. That happens. And one of the nice things is, like you see in these student examples, right? They still have some kind of movement from a centralized point or some aspect of like motion happening, right? So it has to be animated in some regards, right? So the swirl, like it shouldn't be as simple as just moving from left to right. You should be using a little bit more complicated movements. Cool. So once you get like the base assignment done, which is like something like this, you can add in any other kinds of creative adaptations. It's more than welcome. And though, however subtle it is, like this one right here, getting the swirl, the rotating, and then it comes back in, right? Like simple thing, or it looks really cool, and the code behind it's pretty neat. The math gets kind of complicated. All right, so first up, from mixed practice 1, we have double elements to review. And then the second one to review is without any threes. Are there other coding about problems you want me to review? Do speak up now. All right, so I'm going to start with double elements. Need to check text size, make sure it's visible on the recording. Okay, so in this example, it says given an integer array, nums, return a new array of length nums.length times 2, where each element in nums appears twice in a row. Fair enough. We have the beginning. Integer array, I'm going to call mine ants, equals new integer, and they told us how big we want it. Whatever nums is, its length times 2. And just as a sanity check, I'm going to return that array immediately just to see that I have the sizing correctly. I'm expecting to see all red, but the elements here, like I see 8 zeros, should match 4 times 2. Yep. Here I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I see 8 things, so there should be 16 0. 4, 4, 4, and 4. Yep, 16. I'll skip down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should see 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, and there's 12. Cool. I'm in the right spot. I've made progress on this problem. Now comes the complicated part. We have to copy things over, and we have to copy them twice. So you can imagine we need a helpful for loop. I think every problem in this problem set has used the loop, and it has been the case for the last, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 problem sets. Every problem you solved involved a loop of some sort. And now it is copy the element in nums over to ants once. And then the second thing is copy the elements in nums over to ants twice. Simple enough, eh? That's what we want to do. So our code would then look like, okay, answer at some position equals nums at some position, okay, the first time. And then here, where's my mouse? Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then here, ants at some position equals nums at some position again. Okay, So far so good. I left in the question marks. The challenge in this problem, it's with the indices. So if we let I represent the counter for the nums array, so that's my original array here, that's this one. If we just examine the 2, okay, here's the 2, and we need it to repeat twice. 2 is currently at position 0, so that matches up with I, that's nice. Okay. Now we need to place it at 0 and 1. All right, so let's show my work. When I in nums is at position 0, I need ants to be copied to position or index 0 and 1. And now we can repeat this and say, okay, when answer is now at position, when I becomes 1, we need it to be copied over to 2 and 3. Again, when I becomes position 2, we need it to be at 3 and 4. Notice that there shouldn't be any overlap. It's 0 and 1, not 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. Right? It's 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. Hopefully you see this pattern. When you work on these coding map problems, you may want to sketch it out on a piece of paper, step by step. I've had lots of practice, so I can hold a lot of this information in my head. But when I first started, I often found myself writing things out, keeping track of my variables, showing every little detail as if it were like a really angry math teacher that demanded I show every single addition, multiplication, every single operation that occurred. All right. Hope that's helpful. You can always use another variable to help you out too, like you did in previous coding bat problems. If you think you need a variable, go ahead and make it. That's double elements. Okay, clean up my comments a bit. Next up, we have withoutAny3s. I think the most complicated problem out of the mixed practice problem set. So as we go over here, you should notice from the prompt, right, that we're removing any 3s that appear in the original array and then giving the answer of like whatever is remaining. And you'll know in this problem that it depends on what came before it. You use the count3s function you defined in the problem before. That's what the hint shows you. So, because I'm lazy, I'm just going to copy and paste this part like this. You all should have done so. Moved over your count3s code. I'm going to recreate that, hopefully in one shot. So we have I equals 0. This is like so routine now, right? Writing a for loop. It's like muscle memory. And then we count number of 3s. If in nums at position I see a 3, then I must increase count. When this thing is done running, then I will have a final count. Simple enough. Just like from before, in my answer, let's see, do I want to? Yeah, let me split it up because then I can see who's like copying this stuff. So array length for my answer equals nums.length. So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a variable that holds how many elements will be in my answer array. So I need to take away all those 3s that I count. We can do so, whoops, by nums.length minus count 3s, that function, and its input is my nums array, like that. With this, I can now create an answer array, just like I did, just like how I did in the previous problem, to see that things are working. And then return answer. So if my count threes is working correctly, in this problem right here, in this first test case, I see 4 numbers and 2 3s, so they take away 2 from 4, and I have 2 things. Cool. This part and this part match up with the number of things that are inside. I see 2 3s, 4 3s total, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so I should see 6. Yep, and I see 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Removing 3 3s, and yep, 4. Cool. So that part, hopefully it makes sense. Now comes the next part, the challenge. You should know that what makes this problem complicated is that there could be no 3s, there could be more than 1 3. And from some student code that I've looked at, you've taken into consideration consecutive 3s, which is really interesting to me. Because like in this case, you have 2 3s right next to each other, right? Here you have 3 3s next to each other. But sometimes they're all spread out like this, 2 and 2, and like here and here. There's like a big gap in between. Your code should work whether it be consecutive 3s or like 3s spread out and all over the place. So those are some of the edge cases. You can imagine, as we're counting the number of 3s, whatever this number is up here, count 3s, that's the number of 3s we need to delete, yeah? And then the next challenge is, again, copying things over. So if we are to check to see if we have a 3, to decide whether or not we do copy or not copy, we will need a for loop, like so. We are moving or iterating, checking each element of our original nums array. And then our decision here becomes like, in plain English, if I see a 3, I need to skip over it and not copy it into answer. Otherwise, copy it into answer. So it's that part that we need to translate into code. Plain English, that makes sense. We've rewritten the problem in our own words. There's also the equivalent logic, or, which I find like this way is a little bit more helpful. Logically equivalent, we can flip it around, right? What do I mean? If I don't see a 3, then I copy the element over to ants. And that's all we need to do, eh? I think it's really useful in this case to have a second index or second variable, like j or a jump variable or a skip variable, or just some kind of tracker to keep count of where you are in your new shorter array. In my case, that's ants. So let's begin coding. Questions so far on everything I've stated? Does it make sense where I'm going with this? Okay, because at this point there's kind of different ways to solve it. Mine's is just one of many. So if I see that my nums I equals 3, right? Well, okay, do we want to do the equals 3 or do we want to do the not equals 3? I think in this case, not equals 3 ends up having a shorter amount of code, as you can see down here, right? It's just one sentence versus 2. We can do it the first way. If I do see a 3, then I need to figure out what it means to skip over something. Skip it. But skipping is not a function that's defined. We need to rewrite that into computer code. We think about, okay, do I need an else here? Maybe we associate these two things together. We routinely type an else, and then we do, okay, answer at a certain position. It's going to be related to I or maybe a little different than I. Answer, and then on this side, nums I. I think just to see something break, we're just going to leave I there, and we should get array out of bounds exceptions. And yeah, we do, because answer is much shorter than nums, so we for sure are going to overshoot it when we check like position 3 and 4 and 5 and when there's just two things, eh? So what the heck goes here? Let's use a new variable, int. Let's see, skip. Let's call that 0. Because if it is the same, right, or not the same, if we don't see any 3s, then skip really doesn't matter, right? I plus, actually, sorry. Wires just crossed in my head and I'm like, do we know this one? This is the shorter one. I think our skip should go here, like that. And then answer, do we need a third variable even? Maybe, actually, right? And then j. So this is going to happen at position j. All right, and then j++. So what did I just do? So there were two ideas present. First is skip. It could be 0, could be 1, could be 2. It goes maximum up to count the number of 3s that are inside. And so that's a little offset. You got to always keep in mind how much I skipped over. If I skip 1 3 or 2 3s, I have to have that position lined up in my original array. That's what skip is doing. I's role is still to march through your nums array, checking every element in my original array. But then, do I crap out? Maybe. I might get array out of bounds with how I've written it right now. And then j's job, the second part of code that I just wrote, is I declared a new variable j. J's job is to keep track of where I am in the answer array. So at first, it starts at position 0. Anytime I copy things over, I need to move it up 1, so it's ready to go. When I'm here, skip it, skip plus plus. Each time I see a 3, I must move it up 1, skip it over. Let's see what happens when we run this amount of code. I'm thinking there's errors. Yep, we get some array out of bounds. We've copied only one thing over and skipped over this 3. Oops. With this one, okay, we passed this test case where there are no 3. No, there's 1 3 at the very end. So that's nice. It checked over everything and saw this last 3 and did in fact remove it. And for all these other ones, we have array out of bounds. For some reason, this one's not working. I returned. Should have removed that. So what the heck's going on? Let's see. Probably right here. Not so sure you need to skip. All right, so like this. We don't need skip. If we don't increment j, then is it as if we skipped? Like it's the opposite of skip? So I know you get it, Jack. So we don't need a skip variable. Although, even if I did something like this, oh gosh, somehow it worked. So aka skipping means do nothing. Yeah, we just need j. Okay, cool. So there's an answer. Does it make sense though? Beats me. How's it for you all? Questions or comments? So I tried to narrate my thought process throughout this problem. Hope it's helpful to you. I think that second variable idea is useful. You saw me kind of stumble through what kind of second variable I need and what role does it play. Seems like you having it keep track of the where you are in your second array is super useful. Less so the skipping idea. Although I think we could make the skip idea work. Maybe. Yeah, if we did, okay, so we probably won't have time given that it's already 9:31 to talk about Starfield. Likely you'll need to send me emails and ask for office hours for that. I kind of want to see skip work. So let's see if I can code up something that makes it work. Let's see. Can we do I here minus skip? And then here skip plus plus. Yo, that works too. So skip is more like it's backwards of what you're doing in I. So it's like approaching the problem from the left and the right. From using J, it's from like the right hand side, and then from using a skip, it's the left hand side. Like that works too. I was proud of myself. Okay, so that's all for today. Enjoy the Friday. See you asynchronously on Monday. Email me if you need help on Starfield. I'll be slightly angry with you if you ask for an extension at this point, but still it's better than nothing. I mean, given my revision policy, there really isn't any harm other than losing favor with your teacher. That's it. Formally dismissed. Stopping my recording.